Hey everyone, and welcome back to Swift Guitar Lessons for another by request song tutorial. I get a lot of requests for old standards, so today I'm going to be sharing with you my interpretation of Somewhere Over the Rainbow. In this arrangement, we're going to begin with an introduction that pulls from the main melody line using some double stop techniques. Then I'll break down the chord progressions for the verse and bridge sections, and I'll show you how you can tie those progressions together using some walk down and walk up techniques. I got all the tabs as always at patreon.com/swiftlessons. You can support the channel there and gain access to tabs and other resources for all my popular YouTube guitar lessons. Now, let's get started with a full demonstration of the tune.
For the rainbow, way up high, there's a lane that I heard of once in a land long by. You dare to dream really do come true. Someday I wish upon a star and wake up where the clouds are far behind me, where troubles melt like lemon drops way above the chimney tops. That's where you'll find me. Somewhere over the rainbow, blue birds fly. Fly over the rainbow. Why, oh why can't I? If happy little bluebirds fly beyond the rainbow, why, oh why can't I?
Okay, close look at the fretboard and also my pick in hand. We're getting started with the intro section. Very slow, it's going to sound like this. Alright, let's break that down into a few different parts. Okay, to begin, let's see if we can get past the double stop section. So, we're going to be learning just up to there. Take a G major chord and a nice slow strum, almost an arpeggio. Grab the last string with the middle finger and then slide up and away, stopping it just around the 6th fret. Because after that, we're going to transition to a double stop position. Here is the 8th fret of the B string, 7th fret of the high E. I'm using pick and finger, hybrid style, to grab that double stop. All right, so far you have. All right, another double stop position. We have 7 and 5. Switching strings, now I'm on the G string and the B string, 7 and 7. So far you have. All right. right, then we're going up the fretboard. We have 9 and 8. Bring that up a whole step, 11 and 10. And then back down to 7 and 7. All right, for that full double stop section there. And you can slide in and out of these positions. Like right here, going up to the 10th and the 11th fret. And then back down to 7. Okay, so once you've gotten past that double stop section, we're going to take these 2 fingers, we're on the 7th fret, going down to the 5th fret. All right, so now I'm on G string 5, B string 5, and I'm going to put my index finger on the 3rd fret, high E string. Here we're going to set up a very nice little descending, kind of like hybrid finger picking section. It's going to sound like this. Okay, so let's break that down. We're going to get started by strumming that little C major chord, but I'm going to do it in kind of like a pseudo raschiato kind of way, using my pick for the G and the B string and my middle finger for the high E string. All right, after that, I'm going to grab the B string and the G string. Middle finger, then pick. Then I'm back to the high E string with my middle finger or my ring finger, whatever you're more comfortable with. Let's use our ring finger. We're gonna do the exact same finger style technique, but I'm gonna take my middle finger and descend down 1/2 step. Okay, then we're gonna set up another chord, bar the 3rd fret, G to the high E, but keep that ring finger on the 5th fret of the B string. Here we're gonna play. Here I'm using all pick. I strum the chord, go back to the 5th fret of the B string, strum the chord again, put my pinky underneath on the high E string, 5th fret, and hit an upstroke. All right, then I'm gonna take my pinky and bring it up a 1/2 step to the 6th fret. Back to the 5th fret. Then I'm just gonna simply play 3 on the high E and 5 on the B. All right, then it's time for a nice diminished run up the fretboard. Okay, so far you have. All right, and next we're gonna grab a D7 chord, very simple, strum it, and then slide up 1.5 steps. Now my index finger's on the 4th fret. I'm gonna do the same thing again, 1.5 steps. 1.5 steps. And then I'll strum. If you're doing these kinds of diminished runs, it's very important that you keep track of the index finger to keep your positions. I'm on the 4th fret here with the index. The 7th fret. The 10th fret. Then I strum, and I'm ready to jump into verse number 1. Okay, putting that whole thing together now. Here we go. Starting with the G major chord. Okay, great work everybody. You have that intro section down. You're learning to utilize those double stop shapes up and down the fretboard. That's super useful stuff. Now we're jumping into the verse section. There's 2 different types of verses in this song. So for example, verse 1 is going to be different than verse number 2. The second type of verse sets up the bridge section. So getting started with the first line on your chord sheet at patreon.com/swiftLessons. This is line 1 of the first verse. I'm going to take you through the chords, tell you how many beats for each chord, then I'll show you how you can tie them together using some fancier tricks. So we're gonna have G major for 2 beats, E minor for 2, B minor for 3 in my arrangement, and the final beat of that measure will be given to G7. From there we're at C major for 2, and then G diminished 7 for 2, and then we're back to G major chord for 4 beats, and that'll get us to line number 2. There's a lot of things I like to do to that progression there. With the G major chord, I might just throw in a walk down to the E minor. Something along those lines. Strumming the G chord twice, nice and fast. Walking down from G to F sharp to E minor. It's a very classic walk down. All right, then to the B minor, I might throw in a walk up as well. Usually strumming the chord on the 1 beat there. So that was 0, 1, strum your B minor chord, barring on the 2nd fret there, setting up your minor shape. Okay, if you put that together, we have going to the G7 chord, just very simple downstrokes to strums. Then to the C major chord, we have down, 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 down. And then G chord, we get 3 strums. And then we'll walk up to the 2nd line of our chord sheet there on verse 1. To do that, we strum the G chord 3 times. 1, 2, 3, and 3, 0, 2. Strum the C chord 2 times. All right, now we're looking at the 2nd line here. This is going to be a little bit simpler. We have the C chord 2 times, 2 beats, then C minor. Literally just taking that B minor chord up a half step for C minor. Okay, make sure you're using those chord diagrams on your chord sheet if you don't know these chords. We're back to the G chord. 2 beats, then E7, 2 beats. A minor, 2 beats, D9, and then adding the pinky to the 7th fret will get us back to the G chord, and then we're on to the D7 chord. So line number 2, C major, C minor, G, E7, A minor, D9, and back to G, D7. This is the 5 chord in the key of G, so this is always going to be used to kind of turn things back around again, get you back into another verse. Okay, so I keep this kind of simple. I have the C chord, just downstrokes on the C minor. Here going to from G to E7, I might play something like this. All right, so that was G chord down, up. 3, 2, 1, strum the E7 chord and let that ring out for 2 beats. Okay, I can also pick around in that chord, just as long as I'm using the time appropriately. A simple downstroke on the A minor chord for 2 beats. Downstroke on D9. And then one more downstroke as I extend my pinky out. All right, then after that, it's very, very simple. We're going G major to D7. All right, there's 2 different ways you can play that D7, but we're gonna play it like a C7 chord up a whole step. So we'll literally call this D7 in C position. All right, to do this, I'll play something like this. All right, so that was a G chord, 1 slow strum, 1 short strum, 3, 4, and then I can arpeggiate that D7 chord, okay? A, D, G, B. Now instrumentally, if I'm playing through that whole verse, it'll sound something like this. that's exactly how I like to play verse number 1. Okay, great work everybody. Now we have the intro and the first verse, utilizing some of my favorite walk up and walk down transitions, and also chord voicings. I got a tablature for that, it's also on the Patreon page. Okay, now we're looking at verse number 2. This is going to be almost the exact same thing. So looking at line 1 of verse 2, we have G major, E minor, and B minor. This is all the same. 2, 3, 4 on the G7, C, G diminished, and then we're back to G, but here we're going to jump into the E7 early. So the only difference between line 1, between the two different verses, is that E7 is placed at the end of that verse. Alright, then line 2 of the second verse is going to be a little different. We're going to have A minor, 2 beats, C minor, 2 beats, G, and then right down to the E7. I can use my transition there. A minor for 2, D7 for 2. I'm going to use this garden variety D7 chord here, and then I'm back to the G chord. 1, 2, then D7 in the C position to a very, very weird chord, D augmented, and I'll use retardando there to kind of spread out the space, create a cliffhanger, a little suspense to get us into the bridge. Alright, if I play all of verse number 2, it's going to sound like this, just real plain. E minor, B minor, G7, C, G diminished, G, E7, A minor, C minor, and G, E7, A minor, regular D7, and G to D7, D augmented. Okay, fantastic. Now we have the intro and the two different types of verses. This is going to get us into the bridge now. I'm going to demonstrate real quick, then I'll break it down for you line by line. So it starts with the G major chord.
Someday I wish upon a star and wake up where the clouds are far behind me. 2, 3, where troubles melt like lemon drops away above the chimney tops. That's where you'll find me.
And using that D augmented chord again, that'll get us back into the verse, turning it back around. Okay, so lines 1 and 2, G major chord for 4 beats, an A minor 7 chord for 4 beats. Then I'm going to put the ring finger down on the 3rd fret of the A string to set up my position. I'm not actually going to play that though. I'm going to take it up a whole step. This is going to have that kind of dreaminess that is in the original tune, and that's called D11. Okay, I'll have that for 2 beats before going back to the G chord for 4 beats.
Someday I wish upon a star and wake up where the clouds are far behind me. 2, 3, 4.
Okay, now moving on to lines 3 through 5. Okay, this is kind of the second half of your bridge. It's gonna sound like this.
Where troubles melt like lemon drops away above the chimney tops. That's where you'll find me.
Using that D augmented to kind of set up a cliffhanger. Okay, so 4 beats on the G. All right, switching things up now with C sharp diminished. Okay, so that's going to be 4, 5, 3, 5. This is actually every single full diminished chord in the book. You can just move it fret to fret. Very useful chord to learn for passing. All right, so we'll have that for 4 beats. Then D7 chord, just a regular garden variety D7 chord for 4 beats. 2, 3, 4. Now, 2 beats on F sharp diminished. Okay, so this is just kind of another type of diminished chord. We have it rooted off of the D string. So it's 4, 5, 4, 5. It's the same thing you played earlier, but down 1/2 step. Then we're playing the D augmented with a slow strum to get us back into the verse. Okay, great work everybody. We have that intro, the 2 verses, and the bridge down now. We're moving on to verse number 3. This is almost exactly like verse number 2, except we're gonna spruce it up with some other chord voicings. Instrumentally, it'll sound like this. Starting with the same thing, the G chord. E minor. Walk into B minor. G7 to C. G diminished. And G major. Walking down to E7. A minor, C minor, and G. I'm going to switch up. I'm not going to go to E7. I'm going to E9. A minor 7, D7 in C position, and G. With the lyrics, so that E9 chord's just that D9 up a whole step, so I have 7, 6, 7, 7, 7. E9. A minor 7 played here in kind of bar form or jazzer form. I've got my middle finger on the 5th fret, low E string, and then I'm gonna bar across 3 strings, D, G, and B of the 5th fret. Okay, so I have the 1, I have the flat 7, I've got the minor 3rd, and I've got the 5 in there, so that's definitely an A minor 7 chord. Okay, always think in terms of theory, it'll really help. Okay, then, on to the D7. Alright, we've played that one already, and then we're back to the G chord. 2, 3, 4. Okay, so now we're 90% through the song, we're almost ready to perform. All we need to learn now is the outro. Okay, moving on to the final section now. This is our outro. It's gonna be very similar to the bridge. Starting with the G chord, we have
If happy little bluebirds fly beyond the rainbow, why oh why can't I?
Alright, and utilizing a little bit of the touch technique there for a descending, sliding lick. Okay, so take that G major chord, we're gonna strum it 4 times.
If happy little bluebirds fly.
The D7 chord, feel free to play it in its open position or its C position. 4 beats there. Then we're going to set up A minor 7, D7, and then G major 7 arpeggiated. Alright, so that was 3rd fret of the low E string, 4th fret of the D, 4th fret of the G, and the middle finger grabbing the 3rd fret of the B. The open E string, the 2nd fret of the high E, 3, 5 on the high E. Then, this really kind of cool technique, we're going to finger tap the high G note on the 15th fret, slide down to 12, slide down to 10, as we finger tap again. So, then I'm going to slide down to 7 from that 10th fret. The final little part is going to be 7, 6, 7. You put that together, we have Alright everyone, thanks so much for checking out this lesson on my interpretation of Somewhere Over the Rainbow. I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks so much to my supporters for making this lesson possible. I hope you're enjoying the extra resources. I got many more videos coming up, so keep checking back, please subscribe, and please share. This is Rob at Swift Guitar Lessons in Philadelphia, saying happy picking.